Before we get indignant over the title, I should point out that it's a line from an old children's counting game. I learned it growing up in the late 50s. The song is at least as old as the Civil War, and reports differ as to which version came first. 10 Little Indians, or, please forgive me, I'm reading it straight off an image of the sheet music, 10 Little Friggin'. Words fail me to describe how glad I am that I didn't learn it that way. The whole mess arose somewhere in the 1860s, as far as we can tell, which of course is Civil War territory. The song reflected attitudes toward both former slaves and first Americans. Teaching a toddler to count by having them use racial slurs wasn't a big deal. Those terms were basic facts of life, and besides, it's not like we're talking about real people. They were just friggin' and snakes never. As anybody who's looked at American history knows, that attitude prevailed well into the 20th century, as evidenced by the fact that I learned the version with Indians somewhere around 1956-57-ish. When my daughters were little and we were living in northwestern Wyoming, the local public library had story times for children twice a week. One of the activities they would do was little counting rhymes like this one. So around 1990, they were still learning 10 Little Indians. Bear in mind this was Wyoming. I don't know how it is now, but when we lived there, it was said that we were the only state in the Union that the Postal Service still considered frontier. While we lived there, it was announced that Edison had perfected the electric light bulb. The town held a parade consisting of 2 pickups and a flatbed trailer with a local country band playing on it. I may be exaggerating just a wee bit. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the counting rhyme. Today when it's used, if it's used at all, they count soldiers or teddy bears or anything but racial slurs. Think about it. How many words fit into that space? 1 little, 2 little, 3 little. Wabbits, ducklings, oranges, apples, Ferraris, trumpets, pizzas. How many 2-syllable words are there in the English language? But again, the change reflects the change in societal norms. We don't put up with that crap anymore. In 1869, they not only put up with it, they encouraged it. Thanks for watching. Wait, we haven't done anything yet.
Alpha 1, this is Zebra 12.
This is Alpha 1. Go ahead.
We've had no contact as yet, but... No, wait.
That's right, Kobick is back. He's laid a trap using a brand new flashlight as bait, and guess who's all set to walk into it face first?
See? What did I tell you? I came across it this morning.
I've seen it, but I don't like it.
Just because Alexander Fitzhugh desires to make a contribution to the general welfare, there's to be something wrong with it?
Yeah, that's exactly the reason, Commander. It couldn't be that it's way too convenient and looks just like a trap, now could it?
2 of them, sir. And they're reacting just as you predicted.
Excellent. You know what to do, Sergeant.
You probably noticed that the one guy is carrying a small net. They'll try to circle around the little people and catch them from behind. Barry isn't with them. Why is Chipper?
Dan! Look out!
Don't worry, dude. Lots of people have trouble with empty net syndrome. They won't catch any little people, but they won't go away empty-handed either. You already have him in the net and he's not struggling. You don't need to hurt him. Kobick is delighted. He's sure they'll come for their dog, and when they do, he'll have them.
Barry, I'm sorry about Chipper, but we just got separated from him.
It wasn't your fault, Dan. I know I could find him. He's probably still in the clearing, or maybe he went down by the stream.
Barry is inconsolable. When I was my age, my dog was Mandy. She was a pure black lab and my best friend. I played with her for hours, throwing sticks in the backyard or mock wrestling with her. We didn't have a word for it at the time, but basically by the time I was about 12, I was a latchkey kid. My parents both worked at my dad's office, but they knew I was fine at home. Sometimes I'd bring Mandy in, have her perch on the couch, then I'd get a slice of bread, break it up into small pieces, and start tossing them at her to see how fast she could catch them. I loved that dog. If something like this had happened to her, let's put it this way, Barry's handling it a lot better than I probably would have.
He probably just got lost in all the confusion. Don't worry, Barry. We'll find him. Or he'll find us.
I think they all have a fair idea of what happened to Chipper, but nobody wants to say it out loud. You can't blame them. Everybody has been out looking for them, but they can save their energy. Mark found the answer.
We got Chipper! These are posted all over the city. I tore this one off the telephone pole.
The smallest dog on the planet. A unique specimen will be on exhibition at the public zoo. One day only, the 21st.
That doesn't smell like a trap. Nope, nope, nope.
Not that we know where he is. We can go and get him. Can we, Captain?
Barry, your face says even you don't believe that. You know it's wishful thinking, nothing more. The poster says the day before the exhibition, which is to say today, the zoo will be closed to prepare for a large crowd. That means there's minimal giant presence, which is perfect. Too perfect. I think even Barry knows that.
You don't mind. I think I'll go to bed.
Somebody go with him and make sure that's what he's really doing. But first, let's play a game. Fitzhugh, tell me you have no idea what to say without telling me you have no idea what to say.
Cheer up, lad. All is not lost. We'll find you another dog, you'll see.
Mr. Fitzhugh, the smallest dog on this planet is 12 feet high.
Good game. You win.
Don't feel bad, Fitzhugh. It wasn't your fault.
Unfortunately, this time it was. I should have made sure the dog was safe in camp instead of wandering off.
It was my fault. 4 words you never heard that other guy say. Fitzhugh has already grown to the point where he's willing to. And it's not just Barry's influence that's making that happen. His interaction with everyone is teaching him that you can be a decent human being and do the right thing by the people around you, and it won't diminish you in any way. In fact, it has the opposite effect. The more you do for others, the better you feel about yourself, and the more you find yourself becoming the person you really want to be. It didn't take Fitzhugh long to realize that if he didn't pull the oars the same direction as everyone else in the boat, he was going to end up falling out of the boat and getting devoured by sharks. He has his moments, but again, unlike Dr. Smith, we've left him room to become a better person, the kind who is determined to do right by Barry and the others, no matter what it takes, as we'll see.
Val, do you think there's something we can do to cheer him up?
No.
I don't think he's going to be able to sleep. Well, I'll fix him something special to eat. I don't know what, but maybe that'll cheer him up.
That's a good idea.
Barry? 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 Steve!
They can't say I didn't warn them. On a side note, those two are becoming fast friends too. It's not like they have that many options. They're 2 women buried in a sea of men, so it's kind of essential to stick together. It helps a lot that Valerie has transformed from the pampered celebrity to an equal member of the crew who's just as ready to get her hands dirty as anybody else. Where Barry is going is a no-brainer, so they'll split up, follow some standard search patterns that they've developed, and if they haven't found anything in half an hour, come back and report.
Harry? Barry, is that you?
No, it's only me.
That's not Barry. Barry's short and blonde, not tall and redhead.
I take it you didn't have any luck either.
I think we still have a chance to overtake the boy. Maybe hiding someplace, waiting for daylight.
Maybe so. Well, as long as Steve's going to be upset, he might as well be mad at both of us.
Translation, the half hour is up, but they're going to keep looking contrary to Steve's orders. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, but it looks like a gray bird sitting on top of a black one. Either that or somebody surgically removed that bird's head and put it back on sideways.
Now that we're here after walking all night, I have no idea where to begin to look.
Follow the arrows, maybe?
I couldn't ask for better directions.
No, wait. Let's don't take any chances.
It was perfectly safe to me.
Except for those elephant feet we might have to dodge.
There's no sign of giant activity anywhere. So it's closed today, just as the poster said it would be.
Maybe you're right.
Not to mention the bears that growl like lions. That proves either we're not on Earth or this place has been doing some really weird genetic experiments.
See, nothing to worry about.
Except maybe that. Kobick has set up a sort of command post in the veterinarians complex.
Excellent, Sergeant. You found 2 of them, and so soon.
I'll put them in with the boy and the dog, sir.
He's keeping them in one of those screen-fronted display cases that zoos keep things like small reptiles and large insects in. The good news is, boy, dog, man, and woman are all more or less okay.
Well, my collection's growing faster than I dared hope. 3 of you now. Where are the others?
They're at the...
Don't be so uncooperative, young lady. You'll find it more comfortable if you try to get along with me. Where's your spaceship located?
Oh, he was destroyed by fire the night we landed.
Sort of like what they want to do to your operation.
See that they get no food, no water, until further notice.
I mean, it's clear they're as human as we are, just smaller, but the fact that they're smaller means we can mistreat them. Everybody knows that.
You're doing a fine job, Sergeant. As soon as we've located the rest of the little people... Hey, you. The veterinarian won't need his net today. Find something else to do. Outside.
Yes, sir. If there's anything the inspector requires, you can always call on Grotius.
Grotius isn't as thick as he lets on. He's been listening, and he has designs on some of that reward money. But right now, the remaining 4 members of our group are trying to find a way to slip into the zoo and find out what happened to the others.
It should be quite an exhibition now that you have 3 of the little people.
Move on.
That's it. The SID caught all 3 of them.
And now they also know for sure that those zoo employees are SID agents with nets. They're all over the perimeter of the zoo, watching places like right where our heroes are. But Steve has an idea. A crazy one, but an idea.
You intend to go through the animal cages?
Let's face it, that's the one place they won't be looking for us.
I think it's worth a try.
Oh, for us maybe, but not for Betty.
Oh, no, I won't stay
Betty,
behind.
look, you... Okay, come on.
Considering what you've all been through and the fact that she's been right there shoulder to shoulder with you, don't try to play Betty's just a girl. Now, guys, she may be stuck in that puke ugly outfit, but she's as capable as any of you.
Nasty looking things. What are they?
Laughing hyenas. And they're very vicious.
That tree should make a good base.
Yeah. You 2 move first. Don't let him see you now. Come on.
Once they all get there, Betty takes Mark aside and explains the difference between a tree and a stump.
Those hyenas are real brave against wounded animals and little people.
Yeah, well, I hope they shut up before they bring the guards down on us.
What do you think, Dad? Are you game?
Yeah, I'm game.
What are you going to do?
We're going to exhibition hall.
Well, why can't Mark and I go with you?
Steve explains that if they're not back in an hour, they've probably been captured. So it's up to Mark and Betty to get back to the ship and move their base camp, because with 5 hostages, Kobick will learn the location. They'll need to move the camp, even if it means leaving the ship behind, so they can be free to find a way to rescue the others. Betty and Mark don't like it, but doggone it, it makes too stinking much sense. On Earth, great hornbills are native to parts of India. We don't even know if this world has an India, but they do have great hornbills, so there's no telling.
Dan, we'll head for the drain pipe. We'll use those rocks for cover if we need it.
But that guy's going to be trouble, isn't he?
This is Zebra 12, at position 159.
Go ahead, Zebra 12.
Something has the animals all stirred up and noisy, nervous in this area.
Maintain your position, Zebra 12. I'll send some men up for a sweep. Alpha 1, control out.
Over. Out.
How did I know that was going to happen? Other than I've watched this multiple times for the review.
They're bound to be on the grounds. I'd stake my considerable reputation on it.
I am the greatest inspector of all time, after all. Bow your head, Sergeant.
They are here.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere. Now, we've got this area.
Speaking of animals being stirred up, that cat could blow the whole thing.
Sergeant, would you do something about that leopard? I can't hear myself think.
Or maybe Inspector Considerable Reputation won't make the connection. The sergeant calls Grotius in and takes him to the next room. Steve and Dan figure that must be where they're keeping the others, so they're off to investigate.
Come on, what's the delay?
Well, I think this is the tranquilizer, sir. But I wouldn't dare use it without the veterinarian's permission.
Well, then have the animal move. The noise is bothering the inspector.
I'm afraid he can't be moved, sir. Leopard's a new arrival, still in quarantine.
I think by now almost every person in the world can say, been there, done that. Some of us are still dunning that because someone we love more than life itself has a suppressed immune system, so even though we're both fully vaccinated, said person is still at risk. It's a small price to pay and bloody well worth it. And besides, another week and we ship out to our new zoo with the authentic habitat enclosures.
Where's the veterinarian?
At the elephant house, I believe.
Then go get him.
Yes, sir, right away.
If you're wondering why the elephant house doesn't have a phone so we can just call down there to the vet, well, that's because elephants don't have any use for a telephone. And it never occurred to anybody that a human might.
If you'll pardon my asking, sir, how much reward is being offered for the capture of the rest of the little people?
Do you know where they are?
Oh, no, sir. If I had that information, I'd do my duty and turn them in. I was just wondering.
But just supposing I were to come across one and catch it, how much? Never mind. The sergeant exits and leaves the other guy on guard.
We're not gonna have a chance of getting them out without getting rid of that guard.
A dart might work.
A what?
Veterinarians use a tranquilizing dart to calm dangerous animals. If they have a tranquilizer capsule, they must have a dart too.
Next question, how do you get your hands on either one? Only one way, head over to that desk and see if there's one there.
You're a mean one, aren't you?
We'll learn real quick that this guy is a bully. He seems to be infected with the same virus that affects so many males on Earth. It goes by the name Tinnitus Dickus. Symptoms include an overwhelming need to prove that one is better than someone else, even if said someone is an animal locked in a cage or a person 6 inches tall. Other symptoms may include traveling from place to place in an overly large and gaudy pickup truck, often with a Confederate flag flying in the back. Happily, there is a cure, but it is a painful one. Eradication of the Tinnitus Dickus virus requires numerous injections of the drug Stuff Your Ego. Subjects must be closely monitored to determine how many injections are needed and how often. They find a capsule, but there's not a dart to be had, at least where they can get to one. And the guard is tired of tormenting the leopard.
It's no use. There's no darts arranged, no nothing.
Well, we can't stay here any longer.
Yeah, but if we try and make it back to the vent, that guard will see us.
Look at that drain pipe. That must lead to the outside. Let's go.
They make it without being spotted. I may have spoken too soon. Steve gets away with the capsule, but Grotius manages to catch Dan with the aid of a popcorn box. He's off to try and negotiate a reward with the sergeant and the inspector.
What's in the box?
Nothing, sir. I mean, it's... Put this one in the cage with the others.
His reward is he gets to stay out of prison, if Kobick believes him when he says he has no idea where the rest of them are. If. Steve has been wandering around with the tranquilizer capsule trying to figure out what to do, and he just got an idea. You know, for how much that guy is walking around, those quills are holding remarkably still. It's nice of him to do that for Steve. Porcupine quills are hollow, not to mention sharp. When one sticks you, not only does it have little barbs all along it to hold it in your flesh, the sharp end is open and the quill itself is a tube. When it pokes into you, the air inside the quill poofs out and forms a nice suction to help hold the quill in place. That's why if your dog, or you, ever get into a porcupine, before you try to pull out the quill, cut the top end off to eliminate the suction. It'll still hurt like oh my dear coming out, but trust me, with that suction going on, it hurts a lot worse expressions than that. A little whittling and Steve has his dart. He pokes it into the tranquilizer to charge it, and he's ready for that guard. Mark and Betty have been waiting all this time. Steve said if he wasn't back by 1 to head back to the ship and all that. They've been stretching 1 o'clock out as long as they possibly can.
Look, what do you say we wait another 15 minutes, okay?
Okay, 15 minutes.
Hey guys, if you need an excuse, just tell Steve he never said which time zone. But it won't be necessary because Steve just appeared. He explains the plan and says we'll wait for night when it'll be harder for them to track us.
Hey, what's the plan?
Depends when the setup is inside. We have to play it a little bit by ear. Basically, we go for the guard. We're going to jab him in the ankle with this dart. And just pray it knocks him out quick enough. So we're going to have to work.
You again? Where's your popcorn box?
That's a very ingenious weapon, I'm sure. But you'd be wasting it on me. I'm your friend.
He says, I want to tie the SID in knots. I think he's a little upset about that whole reward thing. At the right time, he'll free the others, steal Kobick's car, and drive them all out of town.
And what will you get out of it?
The dog.
Chipper?
Well, I do have contacts with zoos in other countries, and ways of getting there.
He knows there's a small boy in there who owns the dog, so I have to guess he never had a dog growing up.
All right, it's a deal.
Well, you'll be safe right there. I'll be back for you.
Let's move that plan.
And besides, if they get everybody out before he does, there is no deal. I have a feeling that's what Steve is counting on. But there's a problem now. Kobick is there, and he's interrogating Fitzhugh.
Food is excellent. I had it sent in from one of the finest restaurants in the neighborhood. And the beer, superb. You must be hungry.
What would make you think that?
Well, speak up if you want something to eat. I have nothing against you personally. You understand?
Yeah, he's even willing to toss you a crumb of bread, not something filling like a chunk of that chicken. But if you perform, he'll give you a treat. You can count on that. Fitzhugh is sorely tempted. He says, if I answer your questions, will you feed my friends? Kobick says, nope, only those that talk get to eat.
I've changed my mind. I will not sell my soul for a crumb of bread.
Sergeant Arnack! Put him back in the cage.
Grotius comes in again, claiming to have valuable information. Kobick and everyone else leaves the room to hear what he has to say. That should be plenty of diversion, but Steve intends to make sure they're thoroughly diverted.
They're planning an attack. And it will work. They may be small, but they're very clever.
Go on.
I want 1,000 pieces of gold.
As if that's not enough to divert Kobick into a screaming rage. But he says, I'll have to authorize the money. And we just learned what they use for money, at least some of it. The funny thing is, they built an economy around this medium of exchange, and they can't come up with something easier to call it than pieces of gold? How big is a piece? Are there different size pieces? If you break a piece off a piece, is it still a piece? If something costs half a piece, do you have to carry around a saw?
This is Inspector Kobick. Connect me with the Secretary of the Supreme Council.
I smell smoke.
What they don't realize is there's a box of bullets under that paper.
Smoke?
Now they know. I have serious doubts that a single piece of paper could set off an entire box of bullets, but that's on Earth. Who knows what can happen on this planet, as we just saw.
There's too much pressure. All right, the rest of you pull in on the door and take the pressure off. Come on. Come on.
Kobick and the others have no way to know how many shells were in that box or how many are left. And nobody wants to look.
You fool! I told you to watch them! Look for them!
Come on, we've got to make it to the drain.
There they are!
People, when you're spotted like that, you don't stop and look. You run faster! There's nowhere to go but into the leopard cage. Its water dish is big enough to hide all of them, but they know they can't stay there for very long.
This is what we need. What do you think it'll hold enough to put a leopard to sleep?
Well, we're going to soon find out.
It just depends on what kind of animal that capsule was meant for. I'm gonna guess the capsule was for something bigger than a leopard.
What's wrong with him?
I don't know. Catch him!
Steve is still playing diversion. While he plays tag with Gomer and Goober, the others escape out the drain pipe.
Mark, come on! Steve can't get out. They got him trapped.
As I said, while he plays tag with Gomer and Goober, most of the others escape out the drain pipe. As if we didn't know those two would do this. Steve, Dan, and Mark have developed a kind of all for one, one for all thing. Steve really wants to sacrifice himself for the cause, and the other two have to keep reminding him he can only do that once.
We've got to get these lights out somehow.
Maybe this will work.
I see him. I'll have him in a minute.
You take care of the lights. I'm going to try and get to that car.
Right.
Speaking of only being able to sacrifice yourself once, Mark is going to stick that paper clip into a wall outlet and trip a breaker, most likely electrocuting himself in the process. Steve, Mark, I can't do any better than to quote Hawkeye Pierce. If we had more men like you, we'd have less men like you. At least Dan has a plan that isn't likely to result in his own demise. Though his back may have him walking funny for a few weeks. Dippy and Dopey have moved all the boxes and stuff under the desk and are just about to reach Steve. Phones used to be a good bit heavier than this. It won't take long to get the lights back on, which honestly surprises me. I wouldn't think this world had created circuit breakers yet. I'd expect them to still be using fuses that burn out and have to be replaced, and you can never find the right one, so you have to go to the store, but you can't find your car keys because the lights are out because the fuse is blown, so...
Shall I put on an alarm, sir?
Don't bother, Sergeant. We'd never find them in that darkness.
You can't just let them get away. You can't.
Now, that's not very convincing. But I must admit, I underestimated you.
Guess who's going to take the fall for this?
The leopard tranquilized, the guard knocked unconscious, the inspector off after an animal trainer that had gone home an hour before. Oh, I must say, you earned whatever the little people paid you. It's a shame, isn't it? You'll be in a place where it won't do you the slightest bit of good.
People of all sizes talk about paying the little people or the little people paying someone else as if they have access to anything resembling currency in this world, and if they did, it'd be several times their size. Nobody stops to think of that, not Nick and not Kobick. They both come from such money-driven worlds that they can't imagine any other motivation for doing something. Granted, money was Grotius's motivation, but it wasn't supposed to come from the little people. It was supposed to come from the little dog. That is to say, the little dog was supposed to... You know what? It really doesn't matter now, does it? Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please click the thumbs up. It really does help the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, the button looks something like this. So click it and join our little family. There's a bell there that may or may not actually work to give you notifications when we post something, but it can't hurt to click it just in case. You can also join our Patreon for as little as $2 a month and help me keep expanding and improving the channel. The link is in the description, along with links to a lot of other fun stuff I do. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't worry, dude. Lots of people have trouble with... trouble?